Why do people join extremist groups, whether it's a radical political movement, a fundamentalist religious sect, or a group promoting a controversial ideology? The question remains, what draws individuals to these extreme ideologies, and what happens to them once they join? Today we're going to take a psychological look at this compelling question, diving into the factors that make these groups so appealing and the impact they have on the individuals who become part of them. Why people join extremist groups, a psychological analysis. We often hear about extremist groups in the media, be it radical political factions, cults, or terrorist organizations. The typical narrative is that people who join these groups are either brainwashed or just bad people. But the truth is far more complex. It's rooted in psychology, sociology, and the powerful forces of identity, belonging, and even fear. To understand why someone would choose to align with extreme ideologies, we have to understand what they're getting from it. At the core of extremism is an intense need for identity. Humans are social creatures, and we have a deep psychological need to feel like we belong to a group that shares our values, our beliefs, and our goals. This need for belonging can be so strong that it overrides rational thinking. Psychologist Henry Tajfel's social identity theory tells us that we categorize ourselves into groups, and those groups help define who we are. But what happens when someone feels isolated or marginalized from society? They may look for a group that makes them feel important, powerful, or even righteous. In today's digital age, extremist ideologies can easily spread online, where individuals often seek validation for their beliefs. The internet can amplify these ideologies through echo chambers, where users only hear voices that reinforce their existing views. This leads to a sense of us versus them, a black and white way of seeing the world that feels simple and clear. For many, joining an extremist group is less about the ideology itself and more about the sense of community it provides. It's a place where they feel seen, heard, and validated. These groups can give people a sense of control and purpose, especially if they're dealing with personal or societal challenges. Another powerful psychological factor at play is the appeal of certainty. Extremist groups often present a clear, simple narrative that explains complex societal issues. They offer black and white answers to questions about identity, morality, and politics. These movements thrive on the idea that they have and everyone else is either ignorant or actively misleading the public. For someone struggling with uncertainty or feeling disillusioned with the current state of the world, that clarity can be incredibly compelling. It's much easier to follow a group that tells you exactly what to think and believe rather than wrestling with the complexities of modern life. Furthermore, these movements often promise power. People who feel powerless in their daily lives may be drawn to the radical action these groups advocate, whether it's political revolution or violent acts. The sense of being part of something bigger than yourself, of fighting for a cause, can be a powerful motivator. When individuals join extremist groups, they often find themselves surrounded by people who reinforce their beliefs and give them emotional support. For someone who has felt alienated or disconnected from mainstream society, this community can feel like a lifeline. The social bonds formed within these groups can be incredibly strong. They can provide a sense of family, loyalty, and protection. In fact, people who join such groups are often looking for something that mainstream society may not be able to offer them: deep emotional fulfillment and unbreakable ties to others. But what happens once someone joins an extremist group? The psychological toll can be profound. First, there's the indoctrination process. This can be subtle or aggressive, but over time, group members are taught to adopt the group's ideology as an unquestionable truth. They learn to see the world in terms of extreme dichotomies: good versus evil, us versus them. The pressure to conform is immense. Extremist groups often create a rigid environment where questioning the ideology is not just discouraged, it's seen as betrayal. The result? A kind of psychological lock-in. The longer a person stays, the harder it is to leave because their entire identity has become intertwined with the group. And then there's the fear. Fear of the outside world, fear of retribution, and fear of what might happen if they go against the group. People who start to question the ideology can feel trapped. They're often faced with a painful choice: stay in a group that offers them belonging and certainty, or leave and face isolation and confusion. So what happens to people after they leave extremist groups? While many remain committed to their beliefs, others experience a painful process of de-radicalization. This process can involve rebuilding their identity outside of the group, addressing the deep psychological needs they were seeking to fulfill, and learning to see the world in a more nuanced, less polarized way. De-radicalization programs, support groups, and therapy can help people reintegrate into society, but it's not an easy path. The trauma of being part of an extremist group, the guilt, the fear, the isolation, can take years to heal. So why do people join extremist groups? It's a complex mix of psychological needs for identity, belonging, and certainty. These groups provide a sense of purpose, community, and power. But the psychological cost of this radicalization can be immense, both for the individual and society. The more we understand the psychological forces behind extremism, the better equipped we are to address it. If we can create more inclusive communities, provide emotional support for those feeling isolated, and promote critical thinking, we can prevent some of the conditions that make extremism so appealing. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going. After all, understanding the psychology behind these movements is the first step in healing and prevention.